The Bruins are cruising, but are they ready for Arizona and Tucson? I'm not sure if they don't fix the mistakes that cost them nearly against Colorado.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making the show your first listen each and every day. It's free where you get your podcast wherever, whether it's YouTube, if you like to watch it, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcast, Odyssey, different places you can listen to it, and that's not the fewest options. So you can go listen to it anywhere. Thanks for being every dayer. We got content with UCLA football, basketball starting pretty soon, exhibition talk coming up in this episode as well. Let's get hyped. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, because all you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege all together for a deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. What was not easy for UCLA in this game was the fact that they nearly hurt themselves so much with 4 first-half turnovers, a doinked field goal, from like 30 yards or further in, and UCLA is just trying to practically give Colorado the game in the first half. Now, after a Shedeur Sanders targeting call knocks him out, they stop throwing it to Travis Hunter in his arms with him making ridiculous plays, and the Bruins stopped coughing up the football. They had some manageable drives down the field, and they scored 3 touchdowns. Oh my goodness, look at that. Look at what you can do when you can score and move the football and not just practically give it to the other team. So as we do with every Monday episode of the pod after the game, it's reaction, grades, and everything in between. UCLA utilizing, as we talk offense first, both Garbers and Colin Schlee. And I want to make a point because I've kind of talked about, hey, we don't really want Colin Schlee throwing the football. And maybe some people have thought, hey, Colin Schlee, he can't. Yes, he clearly has done it at the college football level. He's played more than Garbers, but in limited appearances, he has thrown it 3 times. He's thrown it 8 times, 3 completions, 2 interceptions, and the last 2 passes he's had, 1 for 1 against Oregon State, 1 yard, and then an interception lone throw he threw against Colorado. Although Hunter made a great read, great play, so we're not in the flow of the game. Throwing the football is tough. I'll give that to Schlee. He's a dynamic player, but UCLA, when they use him, primarily a running option, and they need to make it a much easier throw to get him in sync with the game because he is dynamic running the football. It seems like when he's averaging 13 yards running the football in limited carries, he is either ending with a first down, obviously with the numbers, or ending in the end zone. Those seem to be like the only 2 options for Colin Schlee running the football. Passing, it can maybe get there, but we shouldn't, as UCLA fans, expect him to throw it maybe 5 times a game. That's too much, and I don't think otherwise. And the numbers in his playing time prove it. A pick against NC Central, a pick against Colorado. It's a little too dangerous when UCLA is already trying to stop this turnover bug that is hurting them. Because let's remind you of the keys to the game. Keys to the game. Remember, if you're on YouTube, you can see the graphic. If not, listen to these. Turnover-free football. Turnover-free football. They turned it over 4 times. 2 picks, 1 from each quarterback, Garbers and Schlee, and then 2 very unique Carson Steele fumbles where Sanders knocked it out of his hands, and it happened again when the Bruins were near the goal line charging in right before the end of the first half. That's probably not going to happen, but still 2 turnovers, 2 picks in the first half is too many. Multiple fumbles is too many, and a missed field goal, way too much. Turnover-free, sloppy football or careless football, they got to go. They can't go hand in hand. You got to be able to take care of the football. Most importantly, because when they did, Garbers went down the field literally in 2 plays to open the third quarter. Basically 30 seconds. You hit Logan, you hit Matsuval, and the Bruins are up 14-6, held off a Colorado drive, and then 2 touchdown drives later, put the game to bed, and the defense gave up what we, at the moment, can call a garbage time touchdown that ruined a lot of people's day if they took UCLA to cover, which I told you. Don't do. This game was going to get weird, and it absolutely got weird. Because how many times does a team go -4 in the turnover battle and still win the game easily. Maybe not so much easily because there was still some drama in this game, but they were in control once they stopped literally saying, here, Travis, you take this. Here, Shiloh, we want to pop the ball loose. All right, before he got ejected. And here's my mid-segment rant. Targeting in college football is one of the stupidest rules in all of sports. One of the dumbest. This is gonna be the thing I'm gonna die on. It's so dumb. Targeting and ejections in college football is one of the dumbest calls, dumbest rules in all the game. Because how many times in live action, when it's clearly not the dirty play, that it's going to turn into an ejection? It's such a dumb rule that it leads to ejections and playing time, sometimes in 2 games. What type of rule does that when it's sometimes a bang-bang play? We get on refs are making bang-bang calls that they can barely see. What about a player who's trying to protect himself, make a play defensively? You know, I'm defending Shiloh here. I'm all over the place. All I'm saying is targeting is one of the dumbest rules in sports. It's hurt UCLA. It's helped UCLA. It's helped and hurt so many teams in terms of drives. But the ejection part of it is so dumb. Absolutely frustrating. That's got to be revisited. We can shorten games. We can do all that. But the ejection, I think it's pretty clear when there's a lot of targeting intent. But we still shouldn't just be willy-nilly ejection every time there's a targeting call. It's just I like to give players the benefit of the doubt when it comes to, did they make a dirty play? Should they not play this game or the rest of this half in the first half? It's dumb. Absolutely dumb. It needs to be changed. It must be changed in 2024. We're going to a 12-team playoff. They're going to the Big Ten. Why not fix a stupid rule? Yes, the 15 yards, cool, targeting. Maybe make it a 2. I don't know. You don't want to make it like a flagrant foul 1 or 2 like it does in basketball, or an intentional foul, because then it gets too willy-nilly. It's just too dumb. Okay, we're done. We're done with that nonsense. Just like the Bruins, once they went to the locker room, pause, breathe. Chip Kelly, what'd he say? Let's get scary and stop giving them holiday gifts, stop giving them Christmas gifts, and score the football. I'm not sure if that's how it came out, with less expletives. I'm not sure if that's how jolly he sounded when he said it. But the Bruins stopped giving Colorado gifts with the holiday season around the corner. It wasn't family time. They're trying to take it to the Buffaloes in a sold-out Rose Bowl, right? And they did once they started relaxing, running the football. Garber's making some nice plays with his legs on some 3rd and longs, 3rd and short conversions, running the football, because Garber's in this game still had 37 yards running the football. Mix that with a Schlee 26 yards running. That's 13 carries from your quarterbacks, netting a touchdown and over 60 yards rushing. And that alone is still triple the output that Colorado did running the football. You do just combining Garber's and Schlee's rushing numbers, that alone triples Colorado's rushing numbers close enough. We're not going exact here. What, about 63 yards to the 25, right? You triple that, it's going to be a little different, I know, but think about that. Not double, but close to triple an entire team's rushing attack from Garber's, who's now showcased the ability in 2 games, although we have to be careful. Colorado's defense, one of the worst in the country, and Stanford still evading pressure, moving around the pocket, where there's still a debate about the strength or weaknesses of the UCLA offensive line. Garber's can clearly handle that much better than what Dante's been able to do. The passing talent, we can have that debate for another day, but the ability to run the offense, Garber's has now convinced me that, hey, other than a freak play that Travis Hunter read very well, that he is going to lead this team probably for the rest of the year, unless Chip Kelly decides to throw a curveball at us and do something weird. Garber's will lead this team, and Schlee should be running the football as he did and help spark the team when the Bruins needed a touchdown late in the game to ice it away. And then he was doing the whole watch celebration, everything. The Bruins got the job done and won 28-16. The offense, it's weird, right? They almost put up 500 yards. This could have been a blowout. And this kind of reminds me of the Washington State game, right? Where the Bruins, outside of a near pick, the pick six and some turnovers and missed opportunities, field goals and kicks wise, could have not blown out, but they could have been in much more control scoreboard wise from Washington State than trailing in the fourth quarter in that one. Well, the Bruins faced a team in Colorado that simply couldn't protect their quarterback, So they were not fully in jeopardy of seeing Sanders go down the field. Now that teams have dialed up the pressure and realized Colorado can't protect their quarterback, can't run the football, and UCLA said, all right, we're going to easily stop these short passes, game plan for that, and just dial up the pressure. So overall, for the offense, it's weird, right? You score 4 touchdowns, 28 points, you move the football consistently. You get a C-, a barely passing grade when you miss. It's like when you're taking a big exam. You miss you do so many dumb mistakes on a test. And still you do a bare minimum because you got a lot right, but you miss some of the big essay questions. You miss and do some dumb things on your test. And you barely pass. And you pass still convincingly, but you're going to get marked down because of a terrible, terrible mistake. The Bruins had 4 of those in this game. C- for the offense. Could be much higher. Don't expect to win a game ever again when you go 4-0 in the turnover department. Why was that the case? That's because Latu, Danson Lynn, and the defense just said, hey, Colorado can't block us. What's the deal here? We'll talk about that next on Locked On UCLA. It's now time for your game changer of the week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company, because Logan Loya, absolute stud, the catch was amazing. I don't even know how he did it. I wish it was ruled a catch on the field so the crowd could have given him a proper reception live, and then you see the replay and you get a double applause because Logan Loya's 7 catches, 111 yards, probably deserved a touchdown, had a 49-yard catch, helped spark the offense to start that third quarter. Here's your Athletic Brewing Company game changer of the week. And the game changer for Athletic Brewing Company, their non-alcoholic beer game, because they've completely changed it. They have non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. Think about that. Think about that. Full of flavor, well-crafted, award-winning against full-strength beers in global competitions. Fit for all times, so you can drink them anytime, anywhere, and make any activity more enjoyable by going to athleticbrewing.com. You can use the code Locked On at 15% off your first order. Again, that's LOCKEDON, Locked On, at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive, baby. Because eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. They've got superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered because over 120 million plus parts. And for your number one ride or die, you'll find exactly what you're looking for with eBay Guaranteed Fit. Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because the eBay Motors, you're not burning money, brother. You're not burning money. You're not doing the watch celebration like different things, or you're not burning money. You're burning rubber. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, turn your car into an MVP and bring home that win, because keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Cruising on in the next segment of Locked On UCLA, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer with you guys. The Bruins. Oh, the Bruins, baby. Those big, bad Bruins. We got to come up with a good nickname for the defense. Maybe it's Zach didn't believe in them and they're good. Maybe it's solid, whatever it is. You can come up with the big Bruin bashful, I don't know, the baby Bruins. I don't know. I don't know. You got to come up with a good nickname because all the good defenses, at least in the NFL, have good nicknames. I don't know what this year's team's nickname for the defense could be because they just smacked Shedeur Sanders again and again and again. 7 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. Until the end of the game, in that late touchdown pass, he didn't even have over 200 yards passing for a guy that normally averages well over 300 yards. For a team that prides itself, even Deion Sanders himself prides himself on his own son's play at quarterback. Of course, his other son at safety made some big plays too before the ejection with targeting, but the team goes as well as they can protect their quarterback in Colorado, and they could not, would not, were unable to do so. You even heard Kirk Herbstreit talking about how bad the offensive line was for Colorado But you also want to flip that and say, all right, when you have something that's so maybe not the level it should be, and a defense with a line that is its absolute strength, usually makes most offensive lines look silly. They pressured Sanders on close to 30 dropbacks, which is one of the most amount of dropback pressures in a game, right? 30 of 56 or 26 of 56, 13 knockdowns, 17 hits, 10 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. You can't even get to 30 yards rushing because by the time Sanders scrambles for a first down, he's taken a 7-yard sack on the other end. Sanders had minus 20 yards rushing with all the Bruins pressure in the backfield. Despite his ability to move, you can talk about whether he holds the ball too long or does different things. Every quarterback has that problem or that issue, even in college football. So we're not going to really talk about Sanders holding on to the football. We're going to talk the fact that, hey, the Bruins made it happen. Latu, 2 sacks. The Murphy twins, each with a sack and a half. And yes, there were some completions. But when the Bruins, you look on the other end, what Chip Kelly was basically trying not to do is when you turn it over, you can't let them pick up the ball and run all the way to the other side and score. We have a defense that they can maybe, most of the time, try and keep them out of the end zone. That's apparently clear this year in 2023. It took me till week 7 to get that memo. UCLA's D, this was a matchup made for the defense for UCLA this weekend, or the most recent game, right? The 6-2 Bruins, 3-2 in Pac-12 play, a team that could not protect their quarterback, with a team that thrives on pressure, guys who are hungry to get in the backfield, even Jay Tuia trying to block for his team offensively, do big things. So many different players making big plays for UCLA, and the Bruins got the job done. That's what they needed to do. Ironically, it was one of the first times that UCLA, the only time this year, that they have not actually forced a turnover. They have not forced a turnover. Well, it helps when the opposition is only 4 of 15 on third downs. Sanders' numbers a lot lower than most of his times, and 5 yards per pass is not where Colorado loves to thrive. Big plays. What was the other key of the game? Win big plays. Well, the interceptions were big plays, but the big thing is the defense won those big plays. They didn't allow them to go down the field. The offense for the Buffaloes thrives. The whole team thrives on the energy that Deion Sanders brings. Coach Prime time. And at the moment, they're fun. They're exciting. But UCLA's defense, as I said, leading into the week, into this game for Chip Kelly and company, got to keep it boring. And while the excitement was there on the UCLA mistakes, the defense kept it boring. Punts, left and right for this Colorado team that was 4 of 15 on third down. And despite 9 UCLA penalties overall, this was by no means a complete UCLA performance. It was just a matchup made in Colorado's nightmares because they can't protect their quarterback. Overall, the biggest night, you know who had close to 300 yards? You know who for Colorado had close to 300 yards? Their punter, Mark Vesset. 7 punts, close to 300 yards, almost 43 yards per punt, dropping one in the 21s, which if he was able to consistently do so, maybe could have found a way to drop UCLA in the 20 and mixed field position. Still, I don't think that would have truly mattered. He was dropping a lot of punts. And the Bruins still were like, yeah, that's fun. That's the 300-yard game Colorado got. That's not what they're expecting their opponent to do. They'd rather their punter sit on the sideline and do nothing, which is what every offense wants. UCLA still had to bring out Will Powers 3 times, hit 2 inside the 20, a 55-yarder, averaged more yards than the Colorado punter. So in the battle of punters, despite having to punt less than half the time compared to Vassett, Powers won that battle. And we've seen a couple of bad punts once in a blue moon, but Powers has been good. The transfer for UCLA. So the defense held up A+ performance. Absolutely fantastic. Even though Colorado went down the field a couple of times in the first quarter, the Bruins bench a little bit didn't break. And when it came down to it, the last touchdown they gave up was not until the later stages of the fourth quarter, went up 19, and the onside kick recovery was like, all right, it's fun, it's over, it's done. But the special teams unit did not do a lot because Loya, four punt returns, only netted a yard and had a long run of 9. The return game just is not there for UCLA this year. I know we were afraid in 2022 when the ball got on the ground a couple of times You wanted to hold on to it. Still, the return game has been non-existent for the UCLA Bruins this year. That has been a non-factor. Imagine in the Utah game, if UCLA had a return game of any sort, especially a punt return game, because that was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? Just bloop, 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 bloop. You know, we could talk about the quarterback too, but sometimes special teams has got to help out your team. The Bruins almost did so when they whiffed on a block kick in the first quarter, the first points of the game scored by Colorado. The punt return game is just not there. I know Loya's the sure-handed hold on to, and he was a game changer receiving-wise. And then the big problem is when you have a short field goal, a chip-in field goal. Charles chip. It didn't matter because he doinked it off the upright. I know Lopez has made some cool kicks, made some big ones, made all his extra points, which we've learned this year is not a full gimme for the Bruins. So the defense, A+, offense, C-, and special teams, Powers himself, cool. He can get an A. The special teams unit will get a C-. I want to say D, but if they can't be any worse than the offense who turned it over 4 times and still got the job done. So I'm still not as pleased with how the special teams unit has been. There's been the battle about who can be the kick returner full time, whatever. UCLA, for whatever reason, is going with who they like, looking for options who are sure-handed, don't turn over the football, and until they need that breakaway speed or big playability, that's just not what Chip Kelly's going for with this year's team and what his roster has. Even though he might, or we think he has somebody in certain aspects, it's Loya to return punts. It's been, Yankoff as, mostly, right? There's been different things for UCLA, and we're just frustrated with the returns. I know Yankoff did have a 30-yard kickoff return, but Colorado's one of the worst at defending kickoffs. Punt returns, we'll get there. Kickoffs, cool. That's one when they could have had many when we're coming off the Kaz Allen era who would break off awesome returns for touchdowns. Maybe we're being a little spoiled. All right. A+ for the defense. I would say C- for the offense. C, I'm getting nice. I'm going to bump it up. A C+ for special teams. When you miss a short field goal, I get very frustrated. And when you have multiple opportunities to return punts, I know they're, you fair catch, you want to hold on, get good field position. Still, I want to see something dynamic one of these days before the end of the season that can help put the Bruins in the punt return game into much better field position in a game they'll need it. It might be the Arizona game because that will be a scrappy game in Tucson against the Wildcats who've just knocked off back-to-back opponents in dominant fashion in one, able to get another win in another. They found ways to do so in big things. So that is what my reactions are. And then we're going to move on. Hey, UCLA basketball, we finally get a thing to talk about. They get to play Cal State Dominguez Hills, who's in D2. Still, we get to see the Bruins for the first time in live action and have to read a box score from Spain or read about some secret scrimmage. What is there to look for heading into that game on Halloween? I know we might be trick-or-treating, but what do we want to see for UCLA in that game? We'll talk about that next on Locked On UCLA. Y'all, I've been telling you, you got to join Prize Picks because of the easiest, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because it's just you. It's me. Not against you and me, not against each other. It's us individually against the numbers. You're not losing in fantasy football like I am to my father because if I want to be like, hey, a stat projection, I want to look at these numbers and I think I got a better read on a number in this game, then you can watch the winnings roll in. All you have to do is go more or less. Like I said, hey, more or less, the Bruins going to have a lot of turnovers. I don't think anybody would have bet on most turnovers, but they've got an enormous selection of players and stat types, which is what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. It's easy to get withdrawals. All you have to do is make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds with weekly promotions like Taco Tuesday. Discounted player projections up to 25%. Go check it out. Injury insurance as well. They've got it all with Prize Picks. So you have to just go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege. Use the code LockedOnCollege for deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege. $100 deposit match up to $100 with Locked On College. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Wrapping up Locked On UCLA today, the Bruins men's basketball finally returning to Poly Pavilion in an official, unofficial, but live capacity for us all to watch and see, for people to go see in person against Cal State Dominguez Hills. Because the Bruins, we've been waiting for this day for a long time. I know November 6th and all that, yada, yada, yada. We can wait for St. Francis a little bit longer. But until then, we enjoy just a little bit of taste. The Bruins will give us 6 p.m. on a Halloween evening. Maybe not many people will watch it. Maybe people will be watching baseball. Maybe they'll be trick-or-treating. Whatever it is, stay safe, have some fun. And despite Mick Cronin's pleas to come watch the team, there'll be many times to watch the team. What do we want to look for in this exhibition? People, I know you guys listening, watching will be like, what are we going to watch? It's an exhibition against a non-D1. There's nothing to look at. And I say, not so fast in my best Lee Corso impression. Not so fast, my friend. Or friends. Cool for friends. Yeah, fist bump, cool. And then this is what I think. One, I got 3 things for us to wrap up this show. One, who is going to play in this game? Sounds kind of simple, huh? Zach, what are you thinking? Why you say something so dumb and generic? You're much better than that. But remember, UCLA still hasn't fully had clearance on a couple of players we assume to be Aday Mara and Berke Buyuktuncel as some international freshmen who were waiting with all those different things, paperwork, teams, all the things that it takes to get enrolled and eligible with the NCAA. Because remember, you can be in school at UCLA, but getting eligible and able to play with the NCAA is a whole nother mess, because it just is. In addition to moving over and with the things with Mara having to do with Zaragoza, and I'm not sure, Mick Cronin wasn't fully confident over the last week when he was speaking to the media about, hey, I hope that my players are all available to play. I'm not entirely sure, because I believe it was Ben Bolch who asked the question about, hey, or is everybody available to play? And he wasn't fully hopeful. And is that something that's going to trickle into game 1 like it did for Adem Bona in the first game of 2022 to 23? Maybe multiple games. I'm not going to sit here and speculate it's going to be a whole season-long saga. But if everybody is dressed and they get in the game, beyond Mick Cronin being very careful injury-wise, I would think he'd like to see all these players and showcase for the rest of, Westwood, all the UCLA fans, hey, this is what we got. We're going to be fun. Let's see these players in uniform. And hopefully they dress and they're able to play. That is easily a first key. If these guys step on the floor and he only plays them 5 minutes, and that's a Mick Cronin decision, whether it's for cautious reasons or just because a player stinks in that moment as a freshman, because he's going to try and rotate the lineup lots and lots of times. It just, who plays? That's important, because then we can get an idea of what the rotation looks like heading into game 1. Possibly, we can't read everything into all the decisions, right? What if Mick Cronin starts all walk-ons? Well, then Zach got knocked me on the head. I don't know what's happening. Just who's available and ready to play, who comes in the game. Doesn't have to be a lot, but that's important. 2, the speed of what UCLA plays with. I want to know what the speed and the tempo of the offense is trying to move up the floor with. And then 2, how explosive are these UCLA players? We know Adem Bona can be fun. We know Galen Andrews has the capability to run up and down the court. What about the rest of the players? How's the offense going to move when you're using a lot of the bigs this season? Bona, Nuba, Mara, Buyuktuncel, Devin Williams at a point. Maybe Brandon. There's so many guys. I can list off many names. Until they play, we won't really know. But they're going to facilitate the offense through the bigs. So that means, is UCLA going to grind these games to a halt? I know they've been changing the way the shot clock works, making it less and less, making the reset even less and less, right? What is that going to mean for UCLA? How fast are they up and down the court? We talked about, is Aday Mara fast? Is he slow? There's different highlight tapes. Yes, no, maybe so. Cronin's convinced he gets up and down the court pretty quick. It's his defense that needs to work on. Well, how quick do these guys, all of them, get up and down the court? Whether it's been battling an injury, because Berke was a little banged up, missed one of the more recent practices open to the media. Bona's been slowly building up. Nuba's been building up into maybe a bigger role that we don't know. And then Mara, how can a 7'3" Spaniard get up and down the court with the ability to shoot a little bit, pass the ball really well? If he's going to be focal in the offense passing the ball, he's got to get up and down the court. The speed with which they play will be unique. And you can't read so much into it, because you're going to be playing the Toros of Cal State Dominguez Hills because they just might already be faster, more athletic, and just better from the talent gap perspective. But do they play according to how they're going to play, the speed? That's something to notice because if they're looking slow up and down the court, that is a cause for concern. And then, hey, how much do they dominate with their athleticism, right? Can they rebound? Can they do a bunch of things? But the third and final key, mostly because I had a brain fart and then finally remembered what I was going to say, shooting. Can they shoot the basketball? Can they shoot the basketball? That is a key cause of concern, saving almost the best for last. How can UCLA shoot from the perimeter? Because if you read too much into the Santa Clara secret scrimmage like I do, and they're without Bona, Mara, and Buyuktuncel, can they shoot the ball? Can the guards win a game for UCLA? Can they be serviceable enough to hit enough shots from the outside? Because in today's day and age, you do have to be able to hit the ball, hit the shot from downtown. Even Purdue with Zach Edey upset, right? 16 versus 1. You got to be able to hit some sort of a three-point shot to go deep into March. I'm not sure what Mick Cronin's expectations this year is. I'm not sure what our collective expectation is for this team. They've got to be able to shoot. And if they struggle to shoot, this will be a long year. And we'll have some slow, ugly basketball games to watch, hoping the Bruins hit the shot and most importantly, grab the rebound. Because maybe the best shot is to shoot it and hope the big guys down low just get rebounds and put it back. I don't want that to be the offense. I'd like them to move and be able to have an opportunity to hit the open shot. Can they versus can they get a teammate an open shot and will they make it are different questions. So again, who plays, the speed at which they play, especially guys going up and down the court, the pace. And then 3, can they shoot? Can they shoot? If they go 2 for 11 against Cal State Dominguez Hills and they're not playing great defense, that's cause for concern for the rest of the year. And maybe that can develop over the season and guys get confidence and find their roles as to who might be that shooter. It's going to be a collective team job, not just a one guy job like Singleton mostly had last year. Can they shoot? That will be a big lingering question all season long, and we'll see it up close and personal when they play Cal State Dominguez Hills on Halloween. Stay spooky, my friends, because we'll say so long and talk to you again next time on Locked On UCLA. I'm Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer saying so long. This has been Locked On UCLA. Get your hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA fight, fight, fights. This has been Locked On UCLA. Go Bruins.